Okay. Is it back on? Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Okay. So we were talking about using LinkedIn. This is a really important part of any job search. As I was saying, I would like to do a profile review. I'm going to go through the important steps in making a LinkedIn profile. And then I would like to do a profile review. If someone has one that they'd like me to look at, we can share that. If not, I'll just go through my profile review. So that's a really key piece. I also will tell you and share with you that I belong to a LinkedIn organization. They meet Friday afternoons at 3, so I don't always make it. However, they do send out updated emails, so I get all the latest information on what's going on in LinkedIn. So that's a real plus, and I highly recommend people to get on different groups like that so that you can stay current with what's going on with LinkedIn. Some of the changes are really great, some of them not so great, but you don't have to use all the features. So it's really important to make LinkedIn connections. I'm going to go through that. If you're serious about your job search, you might want to just fork over the $85 a month if you can swing it for the next few months while you are getting your jobs lined up, because you have a lot more insight if you have a premium feature. You can follow more people, you can send more emails within LinkedIn, and you can also see a little bit more about the people that you are looking for, the people that you want to get to know. And it's also really key to follow the right people. And why post and comment? Because LinkedIn, just like Facebook, has algorithms. So the more that you post and comment on other people's posts, the higher your LinkedIn profile becomes in the search, because it shows that you're very active. Another thing that I have done recently is, if you have a business, LinkedIn also has a business page that you can use. And that has been very helpful to me. LinkedIn will send you little notes that say, respond as your company to this post. And it's helped me get my company name out there rather than just my name with whatever features I have included with my name. So LinkedIn is huge. 645 million members. It's over 200 countries and regions, 30 plus million companies, 20 plus million job openings. So when people say there's no jobs out there, I put in a little alert on LinkedIn, and I get several of them a day from LinkedIn. I put the same alerts on Monster and Indeed, and they're not sending me the same quality openings as I get from LinkedIn. And I'm not really looking. I just want to see what's out there in my field. And over 90,000 educational institutions are on LinkedIn, which means if you are applying to a school, they're going to be looking at your LinkedIn profile. So some notes about your profile itself. The first thing that people see, and that it's very searchable, is your headline. So you have to have a headline that makes sense and that looks good. And make sure that you use keywords that hiring managers search for with a click-worthy headline. So don't put up something boring like just your title, but you want to say something like, well, on mine it says accepting new clients. But others could say things like, I help people locate lost relatives, or something like that. Or I help marketers create more job leads, something like that. You want to get away from the jargon and the cute terms. So a lot of people now are using, instead of chief people officer, they're making these cute little terms like chief happiness officer. Don't do that. It's just inappropriate. People don't like it. Use titles and job descriptions that are familiar to your industry. So if you're targeting marketing, if you're targeting HR, if you're targeting the defense industry, if you're targeting the medical industry, use terms and descriptions that they understand. It's kind of like writing a proposal. You don't want the other person to have to guess who you are and what you do. You want it laid out very plainly, very succinctly, and without these cute little terms and phrases, because they're just going to detract from your profile. One thing you do want to do is do some work on searching for trends in your industry. And you want to make sure that you're familiar with those trends. So you can say that you know something about this latest trend, whether it's in science or whatever. Let's say you're working for a lab or you're looking for lab work. You can say that you have worked on a project to find the vaccine for the coronavirus, or you've had a job that was related to vaccine development, and it doesn't matter if you were a secretary in the office, but you want to let them know that you get that industry. So make sure you use the terms that are familiar to the people in the industry. Use statements, don't use titles, because if you use titles, that's what's going to go in your headline, not the statement that you want to promote. Also, make sure you have measurable facts, awards, honors, sales figures, portfolio numbers. If you were in, let's say you were in a sales organization and your portfolio was $45 million, that's a happy portfolio for a lot of companies. Now, if it's a big, huge company like, I don't know, Lockheed Martin or GE or something, 45 million might not be that impressive, but it's still a big number, and it shows that you know how to manage that amount of program, so that you have $45 million of program under your auspices that you are controlling. It's still important. You know, sales figures. Were you the number one salesperson in your organization? Did you increase sales by 20%? Did you, let's say if you're in HR, did you decrease absenteeism by 30% during the pandemic? So those are the kinds of things people care about. Did you get any award? Did you get an internal professional award? Did you get an outside civic award? Are you in Rotary? Maybe you got a Rotary award, but you have to include that stuff because that's what people are looking for. And at the bottom, I participated in one of these LinkedIn parties a couple of weeks ago, and this turned out to be a great thing. What we did was there were about 20 of us on the call, and we talked at length about LinkedIn. And because we knew each other, because we've been working together on and off for about a year, we all endorsed each other for our top 3 skills. So you had to make sure that you had the skills that you wanted endorsed right at the top. And then we all went in and endorsed ourselves, each other, for their skill. And when it came time to say, well, how do you know this person? We said we worked indirectly with the person, which is true because we didn't really work on similar projects as client to coach, but we knew each other's ability from having worked together indirectly on these mastermind calls over the last year. So I would recommend that you get out your LinkedIn profile and look at who's endorsed you. And the number you want to get to is 100. And why is that? Because it ups your algorithmic presence. You'll get more hits on your profile the more endorsements that you have. Sounds a little cheesy, but I'm telling you it works, and you want to check it out. So make sure when you're doing LinkedIn, you have a good photo. A lot of people, I saw a VP of HR a couple of years ago. I couldn't believe that's who I was dealing with. She had this god-awful haircut. It looked like she was on a beach with the wind blowing behind her. Her face was almost totally covered with hair. I would not I would not do that. Get a professional profile shot, okay? Don't look too intimidating. Some of these VPs and executives look really intimidating. Don't do that. Get a nice, friendly picture for yourself. And even if you've got to pay somebody for it, and just get it out there. Don't use a selfie, people. Do not use a selfie. Very unprofessional. If you need to touch it up, like if there's a hair out of place, you can send it to somebody that knows how to fix those things. I've done that. I had a picture taken of me at a conference, and from whatever angle the picture was taken, my upper arm looked like it was like, I don't know, it had, bat wings, like I was ready to fly away, and I didn't want that picture out there. So I sent it to a photographer who knew Photoshop, and she made my arm look nice and slender. So I suggest that if you can do it yourself, or you know somebody that can, that you make sure your pictures are nice and touched up. And don't go too crazy. Don't go too stylized. Don't do one of those glamour shots. People aren't hiring that. People are hiring a professional. So make sure that you are totally professional. And that includes this last bullet here. Don't use your family pictures. I've seen that so many times on LinkedIn. Don't put your kids in your LinkedIn profile. They're not hiring your kids, and they're not supposed to know about your family anyway, because that's a red flag. Doesn't matter man or woman now. If you have little kids, it's going to raise a red flag. So don't do it. So the background image banner. You can get a free Canva app, or another one I just found out about today. It's called Upsplash. And you can create a perfect LinkedIn background from their templates. So you get an interesting picture if you are interacting with clients on a regular basis, or if you do workshops on a regular basis. You can show a picture of yourself working with somebody, and you can fit that into the dimensions on Canva or on Upsplash, perfectly fit for a LinkedIn banner. And it's a different size than Facebook, so you can't use the same one. You may be able to if you fiddle with it a little bit, but who wants to be bothered with that? I've done a number of different backgrounds on LinkedIn. And one thing that I've learned to do is to advertise what my latest thing is. So right now I've got on my background accepting new clients, and occasionally I'll put a workshop or a seminar or something that I'm doing in the banner. So that's a really important piece because it's eye-catching. It lets people know what's current. So these sites create the image that are the exact fit for the LinkedIn banner. So you don't have to fiddle with it. You don't have to try to do it yourself. It's a complete waste of time. I've tried it with different pictures that I liked, or pictures that somebody else took for me. They didn't fit. So I just went to that Canva site and either used one of their backgrounds and put the text on it that I wanted, or manipulated the picture until it absolutely did get in there. So don't waste your time trying to fiddle around with your own LinkedIn image. So I'm just trying to get to the next slide here. Here we go. Okay, on your profile on LinkedIn, stick to your facts. You don't need a lot of adjectives and adverbs. As I said earlier, can you say that you've reduced costs by 10%, or you've reduced overhead, or you've reduced lateness, or you've increased productivity, or you've increased performance? Anything like that, any kind of metrics that you have, any kind of analytics, throw that in there. Also, your LinkedIn profile should be a summary of your resume, and include, as I said, numbers and data to back up the facts. And also, again, as I said, were you the highest earning sales associate? I've had clients that were the highest earning sales associates, but they were getting bad reviews. We had to dig down into what was going on behind that, and found out that this person didn't know basic employment law and he was misusing company assets, which is a fireable offense. But if he's looking for a new job, he's not going to talk about that, but he has to talk about that he brought in more revenue for the company than anybody else in that office. So here's how you build your profile. Summarize your experience and areas of expertise. And be honest, don't try to fudge anything. And I'm very cognizant of that because, especially with my book that I'm writing now, it's really easy to fact check things. So if you say you worked at something for 20 years and you were only there for 10 years, it's easy to figure that out. It's unbelievable when you Google people. It's unbelievable the amount of information that comes up. I've seen people's voting records come up. That's how I get people's phone numbers when I can't find them. I look for voting records and every single thing about that person is on there. It's unbelievable. So you got to be careful with what you put on your LinkedIn profile, especially. So they've given me a formula that I took from a website that I was looking at. I have blank years of experience in HR, in marketing, in gilding. I'm trained in blah, 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 blah skills. And I'm an expert in assessments. I'm an expert in, employee experience, anything like that. So that's how people are going to find out what you're good at and if they want to keep reading or if they even want to pick up the phone and call you. So you've got to highlight areas of interest, be specific to your industry, healthcare, manufacturing, travel and tourism, hospitality, aerospace, whatever it is. Now, I was in aerospace for a long time, but I didn't really focus on that. I focused on manufacturing because the places that I worked, yes, they were design firms as well, but they manufactured stuff. So people understand manufacturing more easily than they understand aerospace because that's a big, huge topic. So you want to make it something that people can get to and understand. You can use the umbrella healthcare for a lot of different professions. Nursing, physicians, CNAs, physical therapists, you name it. There's so many different professions under the healthcare umbrella. So use something general that's going to catch people's eyes, that's going to make them want to find out more about you. And if you're open to a number of different opportunities, be careful not to pigeonhole yourself. Sometimes people have been in the same job for 20 years. Suddenly they're out of work. And it looks from their resume or from their LinkedIn profile that they've only done that one thing. So you want to talk about your broader experience. Even if you've been in one job for over 20 years, which I was in, I had to learn not to be so specific because those were the only phone calls I was getting on that specific role that I had in BD when I was working in aerospace. I didn't want that job anymore, so I completely changed what's on my LinkedIn profile, although I still get hits on that kind of work. People are looking at my profile for that. So you don't want to back yourself into too narrow a corner. You want to be able to give people an understanding of a broad range of experience that you have. Keywords are very, very important. Keywords is like a new buzzword today. Even on Facebook, they're using keywords. And that's pretty unbelievable to me because keywords set you apart. If somebody's searching for something specific, if somebody's searching for a speech coach, for instance, looking for somebody who can help with oral presentations, they're going to be looking under those keywords. They're going to type in oral presentation. They're going to type in speech coach. They're going to type in confidence coach. There's a lot of different things under that umbrella. So I recommend you break out your thesaurus and you start looking for specific keywords, and also use hashtags. That's another way to get people to notice your posts and your profiles. Always use keywords and always use hashtags. And guess what? LinkedIn will recommend keywords for you. And it's just amazing. They will recommend keywords that actually relate to your profession. So that's why I love LinkedIn in more ways than once. So if there were some keywords that you couldn't get into the title or into the original headline, work it into your summary description. And as I just said, look for synonyms for those keywords that you can work in naturally, because you don't want to be repeating the same thing over and over again. It can be extremely monotonous for people who are watching it. So when it comes to the experience section, you want to build it out. Again, go back to those keywords that are relevant to your profession. And if you're stuck on that, go to the LinkedIn job postings that interest you and find commonly used words and phrases and incorporate them into your profile if you have those skills. It's really important to do that because you're pulling them right out of what people are asking for. That's the key, and that's one of the keys to getting your resume through the ATS system, is you want to have the important keywords listed on the resume so the ATS doesn't throw you out. So you might be the best HR person in the world, but if they're looking for somebody skilled in employee engagement and you don't have that keyword engagement in there, maybe they're not looking for employee experience. They want employee engagement because that's the word that they use. That's the word you want in your resume, and that's the word you want in your job posting. I'm sorry, in your LinkedIn resume, okay? And the other thing, let's say you've done some volunteering. Include that volunteering. Don't underestimate the work that you've already done. So I have a story about a person who was laid off after 50. He was a CFO, and he was pretty depressed about it. So he joined a big project to renovate the local library. And he became sort of the financial coordinator for that particular organization. Now, one of the other people working as a volunteer on that same project was a big project. It was like, I don't know, $10 million to renovate a library, redo a library. One of the people involved in that same project happened to be looking for a CFO. And guess what? When that project was completed, the guy who was handling that financial piece for the library project got hired by the other volunteer who needed a CFO in his business. So make sure you're involved in some kind of volunteering where you can learn to meet a broad range of people. And any other work experience you've had in your life, whether it's been in retail or whatever, any kind of personal interactions, maybe you're a waiter or waitress and you don't want to list that, just say you have, personal relationship skills or interpersonal skills or something along those lines, because you've done that. That's part of who you are, and those are skills you bring to the table. So don't underestimate or limit anything that you've done, whether it's paid or not. And the other thing I want to remind everybody is that you might have had really wonderful professional experience back in the 70s, but to be honest, nobody cares about that anymore. You have to incorporate those skills into your summary or into your experience, because no one's going to look that far down. In fact, LinkedIn, if you want to make a change on those old experience postings, they won't even send them out to your network. So you have to be very careful about and be judicious about what you think is important. And if you've had good experience in the 70s that applies today, move it into your summary. So here I talked about this already, working retail, doing telemarketing, anything else you did on entry level or volunteer, it's all valuable training for your soft skills, such as handling difficult people, problem solving, meeting deadlines, and working on teams. Now, those things are key. Right now, the big buzzword is team, team, team. Everybody works on a team now. Personally, I don't like teams because, you know, there's always one person that ends up doing all the work. However, the big companies, even the universities, all kinds of trainings are going on using teams. So you have to get used to learning to cooperate with people and work on teams. As I said, highlight your volunteer work, any internships you've done, clubs and organizations that you've participated in, and talk about what your roles were. What did you do? Were you a chairperson? Were you the financial person? Were you the membership person? So you want to mention those things and talk about the skills that you learn there, and highlight those skills that are that transfer to anybody, to any place rather. So LinkedIn does let you put up a vanity URL, which looks like this. Okay, linkedin.com/in/your full name. I like that one. I use that one. I don't change it. But let's say you want to put up your business on your business page. Your URL can be your business page, and you can change it up to 5 times in 6 months. So you have to really get familiar with LinkedIn, and you have to spend time on it. I personally spend about an hour a day on LinkedIn. I make posts, I read a lot of posts, I check who's looking at my profile, I check who's liking my posts. Those are all opportunities to reach out and make connections. So as I said, you can, one of the suggestions they have is, along with your name, you can put what your profession is if you want. So I could put Mary T. O'Sullivan, executive coach. I have not done that. Because people are searching on my name more than anything else. And I have a lot of keywords. But you can use 5 to 30 characters for your URL, which is kind of long for a URL actually, but don't bother with symbols or special characters or emojis because they won't get in there. But it's a good idea, and I like it. And often when I'm applying for something like an award or an application to an organization, they want my LinkedIn URL. So that's important. So we talked about skills. You want to highlight your 3 top skills and then list up to 50 sub-skills. It's kind of diluted when you get into the sub-skill area. Actually, right now, LinkedIn has a skill quiz. None of the skills on there apply to anything that I do. They're more technical or administrative skills, like they want to know how good are you at Excel, or how good are you at PMP or project, or all kinds of different business applications. And then they'll tell you what is your top skill and what you should highlight. But none of those things applied in my case. So I just listed my top 3 skills. And again, you want to go back to the existing job postings that are out there in your field to identify your skills, because then you're matching your skills with a description of open jobs, which helps the recruiters make the connection between you and those openings. And then as you get your network gets bigger, you should have as big as network as possible. I have like 2,700 connections. So those people can endorse you for the skills they know you have. So when you connect with somebody and you start a conversation or relationship with them, you can ask for an endorsement, and you can tell them after you get to know them a little bit, I'll endorse you for whatever it is, for HR, for somebody that I know is a writer. So she wants to be endorsed for her writing skills. So I went in and endorsed her because I've looked at some of her writing. She might meet another writer on LinkedIn and they can endorse each other. So you have to get to know people on LinkedIn. It's not just a collection of a bunch of names. but it's helpful to make those connections and get those endorsements. And I think I said that you want to get to 100 because it helps you show up in the search results. The more endorsements you have, those list of skills that you have, those top 3 skills, will let people know and understand what you already have that they don't have to develop within the organization. And right there I said, make sure to try to get at least 100 endorsements for your 3 top skills. Try to get at least 100 for your number 1 skill. So I'm going to talk about Facebook. We have about 23 minutes left. There's a lot more material here on Facebook. I can save that for next time, or I can go into a LinkedIn profile. You want to put in the chat what you would like to do at this point? So I just typed in LinkedIn or Facebook. Oh, Judy, you want to do Facebook profile? Can you say yes? Okay. All right, we can do that. All right. I will go into Facebook. All right, Facebook for job hunting. So if you're actively job hunting, you're probably wondering, like, what good is Facebook? To me, that was also a question, like, what good is Facebook? My clients are not on Facebook in general. So you want to get smart on Facebook because there's pros and cons. If you want to move forward using Facebook to promote your professional qualifications, you should know how recruiters use Facebook. It has the most members and billions of members as lately as December 2019. It is the most used social network where people spend more time than any other social network. Why recruiters use it? The smartest strategy for people looking is to, again, go back to the keywords, take advantage of what they're interested in to help people get placed. So there was a Pew study back in 2015, 70% of Facebook users engage daily versus only 13% of LinkedIn users. In my opinion, that's because LinkedIn users are working. Anyway, I'm prejudiced. So while many people consider LinkedIn to be the professional network and place to be, it isn't the only social option. 5% of recruiters use Facebook to recruit, according to Recruiter National Study. The first thing that came up, which I noticed right away, was check your privacy settings. So anybody out there who's using Facebook for professional, check your privacy settings, because Facebook has a reputation for changing the settings all the time. If you haven't looked at it lately, it's a good idea to do that. Now, this I took off a picture on a website. So, and I didn't bother to look in the actual Facebook of today. Why? Because it changes all the time. Every time I look, there's something different on Facebook. So here's how you could probably poke around and figure this out by looking at this section. Go to the question mark on the top right. When you scroll down, you will find an option for privacy. Click on privacy, and another menu bar will show up, offering the options as well as more help with privacy. Click on each topic to see how Facebook will use that information, how you can adjust your privacy options. And then click through each of them. Make sure you have selected the best option for you. If you decide you don't want your information in your profile to be included in search results, be sure to select that option. So you really have to watch Facebook because they're changing things all the time. So when you go to your profile, Many of the same rules used for LinkedIn apply for Facebook if you're looking for professional work. So if you want people to find your profile on Facebook, one way to enhance your profile is to add your past work history and your professional skills to your About section. Now, some people have a business page. I have a business page. I have a personal page, and I also have a book page because I'm writing a book. So I included all these things in each one of my pages. So make sure that you put your past work history, and there is a place to do that in your, in your Facebook profile. So make sure you do it. And it says here, you don't need to set up a separate Facebook profile for your job. In fact, it's against Facebook terms of use to do so. So, you know, if you're looking for a job, don't set up different, you know, like consecutive Facebook profiles that are the same. As I said, you can put up a business page, or if you have, if you publish articles, or if you have anything special that you're doing, you can make a separate page for that. So learn how to adjust the settings and monitor your account really closely. So you can also look at what your public profile looks like, and what somebody else who doesn't know you, when they look at it. Click on the 3 dots after View Activity from your profile to select Public View. This only works from the desktop version of Facebook, not from your mobile device. So I did this once, and it was very confusing. I did not know what I was clicking on. And as I said, Facebook is changing all the time. So unless you're in there every day looking at the changes, or unless you're on some kind of a newsletter list or an update list that consistently sends you the latest from Facebook, you are not going to know what's happening. So make sure that when you look at your public profile, that you're able to change it back, because I was trying to hide a post that somebody had written with the F-bomb in it, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't hide it. And it was because I was looking at the public profile. So Facebook is very tricky, and you can inadvertently make something happen that you don't want there. Okay, and then take note of what you want to stay private or what you want to enhance. So that's very important. So on Facebook, you can make private certain parts of your profile. And you got to be really careful about who can see what. One thing that's not on here, but I want to mention, is the life events. The life events are really important. If you get a new job, if you've got a new degree, whatever it is, if you have any kind of life event, mostly it's about work and education. Those are the ones that I like to post. Or if you get a new certification. So anybody who's in HR, if you get a SHRM or a PHR certification, you want to put that on there. If you're a coach and you get an ICF or an IPEC designation, you want to put that on there as a life event. And that life event goes out to everybody who's on your friends list. And you can make that public so people know that you have those qualifications. So that's a really good use of Facebook. Again, be careful to control what you post or share as a status update. So anytime you add an update or share something on Facebook, you can make it viewable to the public, friends, only me, or other. So be careful about that. So if I'm posting a picture of my dog and some training that we did that I got him to let me put a muzzle on him, which was a big to do when it happened, I made that public because that was a fun thing that people want to know. Some things I only want to post to friends. Only me, I don't use that at all, really, or other. I'm not sure what that is, but you've got to make sure that you look at those settings and that you keep abreast of what the latest update settings are. So if you see a globe next to the date in your update, it's public. which means anyone and everyone can see that update and comment on it. I think on some of the Facebook posts, you can turn off comments. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can. So make sure you go in and check that, because you might want to put something out there like make an announcement, and you don't necessarily want comments on it. Also, go back through things that you've already shared on Facebook to modify the settings on certain posts. I have gone back and hidden posts that later I figured I didn't want out there for the world to see. And how you change the post setting, click on the inverted triangle and change the post setting. You should also realize that comments you post to public Facebook pages and public groups are also viewable to anyone, so be really careful. The only public groups I belong to are the yard sale groups. Other than that, the groups I belong to are private, either coaching groups or HR groups, and I have my own private group. So be really careful with Facebook, because it can ruin you. It can help you, but it also can not be great for you. All right. Learn how to use the lists. When you add a status update, you can select who you want to see it. It works like an email distribution list. Facebook sets up several lists for you already, or you may decide to set up a list for your job search. Some listings include public, friends, friends accept, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you don't want everybody to know you're looking for a job. I've done this with invitations. I would just be careful with this one. I think that Facebook is a little tricky, and unless you're really astute at using it, I think this friends accept is kind of a joke. You've got to be careful with that, because you're maybe not going to remember to do that every time. It's good that it pops up, because you think, oh, do I care if every single person sees this? Do I care if only my friends see this? Maybe you're announcing something like you're closing your business. You probably only want friends to know, maybe, right? Or let's say you have a family tragedy. You don't want the whole world to know that, but that's got nothing to do with your business or your job search. So why would you even post that on Facebook? So you just got to be careful with that. So Facebook lists. When you click on the More button below Friends, except you have additional options like specific friends, only me, or custom. And that's a little screenshot. And again, be careful that this is the same on the current Facebook version. I think they change something almost every day on Facebook. So this is it. You go to the globe and you have a pull down menu: public, friends, friends accept, specific friends, or only me. So maybe you've made friends on Facebook with some recruiters and you want them to know about a life event. So you post your life event and then you put it to specific friends. So, and then you're allowed to pick the friends that you want it to go to. Now, here's something interesting. If you don't have a job, I've preached that if you're looking for a job, you've got to let people know. You can't hide it. There's nothing shameful about that in these times right now. So a lot of people are out there that want to help you, but you don't see them regularly. And maybe they don't want to see your updates about your job search. So it should be positive and state clearly what you're looking for. Include the names of employers you would like to work for. Provide your preferred location. And giving these details makes it easier for your friends to offer real assistance. So if you're unemployed, be really careful about making this information visible to anybody who works in your current for your current company, it could cost your job. And I've seen this happen on the job boards, I'm sorry, not the job boards, the HR boards. People are complaining about somebody posting on Facebook that they're looking for a new job and they hate where they work. This is not good. You know, it's going right to the HR people. And anybody who thinks that HR and your hiring managers and your security departments are not looking at Facebook and LinkedIn, think again, because it happened to me when I was working at Raytheon. You might have heard this story. I got a friendly phone call from our IT security people, and they told me that I had things on my resume, on my profile, that Raytheon wanted me to take off. Things they didn't like, I didn't even know were there. Why? Because it was on my resume, and I uploaded my resume. So be careful. And as I said earlier, when I was going to graduate school, my admissions officer friended me on Facebook. So you've got to be really careful about making any information that you want private, especially about a job search, making it public. If you're not employed, if you got laid off, or if you lost your job for whatever reason, don't trash your company, but you can definitely post that on Facebook. Definitely post what you're looking for. Definitely create a page where you can upload a file like your resume, or upload things that you've written, or upload maybe some endorsements from LinkedIn, or anything that's going to help you find a job. But if you're employed now and you're looking, do not advertise that to the world. Be very, very careful. So how can you discover job leads on Facebook? It's not a job board, but you can probably look at the groups feature to find people posting jobs in your field and in your area. I was reading about this Facebook expert, Chris Russell, and he was the founder of Career Cloud, and he recommends looking through Facebook using your city and the word jobs to find groups that share job leads. That's a really good idea, because you might get a private group that's accepting members. So I didn't think of that. I thought that was a great idea. I mean, personally, I wouldn't do it, but it's a good idea if you're looking broadly and you really need to find something. Another thing that I am definitely in favor of is liking company career pages. So if you want to go to work for, let's say, Torre Plastics, all these companies have Facebook pages. Go to their page and like the page. You'll automatically be placed on a newsletter list, and you will receive updates about that company. And as it says right here, they use these pages to get a talent pool, which serves as potential job candidates, and to improve the flow of information to those candidates that they are interested in and that fit their criteria. So it's more passive for job seekers and more active for the companies. But that is one good way to start relationships with companies on Facebook. And then I would go to LinkedIn and find out who works there, maybe find out who the hiring manager is, and develop relationships there. Some places use paid Facebook ads to look for people. And as you know, they can be super customized based on the education level, geography, interests, and all that other kind of stuff. So that's one good thing about Facebook. They can super customize their job opportunities. And you might discover some leads when friends of yours and people that you follow share opportunities in their updates. So somebody might say, hey, we're looking, I see this all the time in the HR and coaching groups, you know, we're looking for an executive assistant, or we're looking for a manufacturing worker, or whatever it is. So when you get into these groups, that's where you're going to find more opportunities for leads for jobs. And that would be more active than the other way, which is going to follow the companies. So it's not enough to lurk, people. I know that we all love to go on pages and lurk. And actually, I've had people tell me that they've been lurking my page for a year, and then they finally pick up the phone. But you want to really use whatever platform you're on to nurture and expand the connections that you have and make more. Facebook makes it really easy to serve for college classmates. That's one good thing about it. In fact, my husband graduated from the Naval Academy, and he has a Facebook page for graduates for his class, 1973. So he is deep diving into that, and they keep in touch. They hear from people they haven't heard from in 30 years. People, well, at his age, I guess everybody's retiring, but they keep abreast of what's going on. If you're younger, you want to keep on those Facebook pages to see, what's going on, what people are doing. I took my master's at Quinnipiac. I follow their Facebook page. I know what's going on there. People do look for positions, or they advertise positions on their college pages. So check those out. Just go in and search on your college or even your high school. It's amazing what people are doing today. They're not those kids you graduated with. They're adults working out in the world, and they know you. They want to help you. So make sure that you add in your college and your high school information if you want people to know where you went to school. And like I said, join those Facebook alumni groups. They're very, very helpful. And then get into these discussion groups by occupation, like a company's page, as we said, or join their career group to interact with their employees managing those accounts. So I really like joining the groups that are by occupation. You get to know other professionals in your field. And then post status updates relating to job searches and your career interests, so that people know and followers know you're actively and publicly looking. So when I see somebody on Facebook that says they just got fired, or they just got laid off, or they feel that their job is on really shaky ground, or they've been told they have 2 months before they leave, I get in touch with them by Facebook Messenger and say, hey, I might have some options for you. Would you like to set up a call? And we just set up a little, maybe we have a call. Many times we just set up a back and forth conversation, or I'll send them to my website. You have to be kind of gentle here. You can't be pouncing on people. Be very subtle. And the important thing is making that connection. And then really and truly, once you've made the Facebook connection, go on LinkedIn. And most importantly, whenever you're on Facebook, stay professional at all times. So remember, whatever you share can work for you or against you on Facebook. So I hope I don't have to tell anybody, don't use profanity. Don't share provocative or inappropriate photos of you or anybody else. Don't speak negatively about your current or past employers. Don't do that. Even if somebody else does, don't join in, because sooner or later it's gonna come out. It's amazing what people can find out on Facebook. And just remember, there are no guarantees of privacy. I told you I can find people's voting records. I can find their phone numbers. I can find where they live. I can find a map to their houses. I can find their email addresses. It's not that hard to do. So you have to be super careful of what you're putting out there. So the bottom line with Facebook is, if you're actively job seeking or planning on it, you should know how to put your best foot forward with Facebook. Use Facebook to network and uncover the opportunities. That's all you need to be using it for. A lot of people also use Twitter. I don't have a slide on that, but I will tell you there's one of those posting services called Hootsuite. And with that, you can take your Facebook or LinkedIn post and it will automatically post it to Twitter and Instagram and wherever you want. It's an easy way because you don't want to be all day long posting. That's a waste of your time. So it's free, you can sign up for it, and it'll just blast out your social media stuff, but you have to put it on one platform first. The other thing is that MailChimp, if you have a MailChimp account and you're doing MailChimp, it will also allow you to post that particular MailChimp email to all your social media outlets. So that's another thing to try. So I'm going to skip the client love. I think everybody knows about this. And we are a little bit over by 2 minutes, but if anybody has any questions, I'm going to try to turn everybody back on here and see what kind of luck I have with this technology. Let's see, how do I get questions here? All right. Oh, okay. I'm going to stop sharing. There we are. Oh boy. Hi,
Still
Judy.
here.
Okay. Ted, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Ted, you got your mask on.
I did. Yeah.
Valerie, you
Just
still
left
there?
it on.
Yes, I'm here.
You want to put your video on?
Okay.
Anybody have questions? I know that was kind of fast. It was kind of blast through.
Oh,
Mary, can you talk about the hidden job market?
Yes.
The mysterious hidden job market?
The Ethernet. The jobs are out there. Okay, so it's not really a hidden job market. It's just how you look. So you probably heard me say before that I'm hearing people say that they're desperate, they can't find anything, and yet I'm hearing recruiters and HR people saying, hey, I had a person lined up to come in here for an interview and they never showed up. Or they never came to the phone screen or whatever. So there's a definite disconnect there. So if you're talking about how we can connect those two things, you have to be very vigilant about it. So you have to spend time. My best way to do that for me personally is on LinkedIn. So I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I sign up for a lot of different job alerts and they come to me. And I don't really click on them. I'm just trying to find out what the language is that people are using so that I can incorporate it in my profile. But if you go to LinkedIn and you type in the specific job title that you are looking for, so Ted's in HR, so he's an expert in employee experience. Is that right, Ted? Or employee engagement? So he can type in employee engagement and he will get posts, alerts on job postings with that exact title or that exact description someplace in that posting. And they'll just come to you. Now, those are better than the Indeed or Monster ones, because I get the ones from Monster and Indeed, and they're sending me like VP of operations. Like I put in executive coaching. Oh, executive coaching in Wakefield, VP of operations. No, But if I put that in LinkedIn, I get, you know, HR specialist, must know executive coaching, must be familiar with executive coaching, like that, okay? So that's kind of one way in through the back door. LinkedIn is really good about that. Much better than these other type of job boards. The other kind of like dirty little secret of HR, if you will, is you kind of have to sneak in the back door to some of these places. If you really are looking, let's say you had an interview someplace and you didn't get a call back. This is part of like, you know, conquer the never call back or endlessly waiting for callbacks. Go to the company. So let's say I had an interview at FM Global and I never heard back from them. So I will go into their company site on LinkedIn and there's a thing to click for jobs. And then I'll see if the job is still there, number one. And if it is, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I still have a chance. And then I go to the people tab and it'll show you every single person that works at FM Global in Rhode Island. So you go down that list and you look for somebody in that department. You can actually even search for FM Global, let's say engineering. Or they don't do engineering, they do insurance, or FM Global Securities, or whatever it is, or international. And you'll get people that work with that, associated with that title. So if I really want to talk to somebody, I'll search under HR, because I know kind of, because I have a degree in HR, so I sort of know how to kind of wend my way around. But it's all about connections. So I'll look to see if they're a member of my organization, which is SHRM. I like your hair, Valeria. You were telling me about it the other day. I really like it.
I have
really
a
like it, like,
headband.
yeah, it looks really good. So I'll look and see if they're a SHRM member, and then I'll make the connection. Hi, I see that you're in SHRM. Did you go to the last meeting? Are you coming to are you going to the upcoming virtual social? What do you think of those socials? And oh, by the way, I saw this posting. Is that still open? And they'll get back to me. But you have to look for something in common.
Right.
And it's hard work. Like I said at the beginning of the session, you have to devote 8 hours a day to finding a job if you're looking. Now, Ted, I know you're in a temp position, so you can't do this 8 hours a day, but in your discretionary time, that's the way you use that discretionary. And I know you don't have a lot of it, but that's the way to use the time that you have. So you segment your day out into so much time on Facebook, so much time on LinkedIn, so much time making a YouTube video. And then you have to go in and do your investigative searching. If you like doing that stuff, it's relatively easy for you. If you don't like it, if it's hard work for you, then you're going to need somebody to help you with that. You know, you can hire they have these people that strictly only do resumes, and they can help you sort of get in and out of that. I do that also, but that's part of my coaching, my whole coaching package. But most people don't want to spend a lot of time on that, because if I know you're my client and you're looking for a job, I'll do that. I'll say, oh, I'll tell you what happened one time. A woman was looking for a job in business analytics. I never heard of that job. And I said to her, like, what is that? She said, it's a BD position. I said, I was in BD. I don't know any job like that. So with her there, I typed it in. And there were like 25 jobs that came up in business analytics. So she was right. And what they do in business analytics is it's called clickbait. And there's software people that, you know how when you look at let's say you're looking at a pair of shoes online, and that link tracks back to the system that you're working on, it tracks back to your IP address. She designed the ad and the connection from, not the ad itself, but she designed the software that connected you're looking at the Naturalizer site to some other site you're looking at, like how old is Michael Douglas? You
Yeah.
know, and then it'll pop up with, oh, you were just recently looking at these shoes. Did you know they were on sale?
Mhm.
So that's business analytics, but I never heard of it. So you might be looking for a job category that's called something else. So you have to be
Right.
flexible. You have to be flexible about it. But, and the other way, really and truly, is to just keep your ear to the ground and talk to people. Things come up all the time. And as we all know, referrals really are the best way ever to find any job or get any business at all. So I just recently finished up coaching a client for a major real estate organization here. And they work with an attorney. And the attorney who's, they're subcontracted, the attorney subcontracted to this big company. That person in the attorney's office needed a coach. So the HR person that connected me with her employee connected me with the attorney who wanted coaching. So it was just kind of like fell along into it. I get more connections and business from LinkedIn than Facebook, but I do get a lot of connections and business from Facebook. But I appeal to a particular niche, and I keep it that way because I'm not interested in the people with pierced noses and, dragon tattoos on their neck. That's not my tribe. So when you're using Facebook, you want to make sure that you limit it to the people that you want, that we call in our circle our tribe. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So and that's kind of like identifying who your ideal client is or who your ideal employer is. Like, who is it that you want to be working with? Who is it that you want to look at every day? And I'll be honest with you, some of the clients that I get, I'm looking at my calendar thinking, okay, when is this person's time up? Because it's tough working with them, but they already paid me. I'm not going to fire them and give them their money back. We need to finish. It's beneficial for them to finish also. So I've had a couple of people like that because they really weren't my people. They hired me because in their mind, I could help them. But what I found out in both cases was that these people needed mental health help. They didn't need a coach.
Yeah.
They really needed mental health support. And I was looking through scripts to say, how to tell your client that they really need mental health rather than coaching. Because I didn't want to come out and say that, but it ended up that they ended their engagement and didn't re-up. So it worked out. But that's the kind of thing that you have to do, is like identify who your tribe is. Who do you want to be associated with? Who are your people? And I'm finding that more and more as I progress in this business, is I'm becoming more discriminating about who I work with. And I would rather skip over a client than take on somebody that I'm not comfortable with or is just too hard. Some people are just too hard. So you've got to make sure it's the right fit for you. So that's kind of the right fit. It's part of that ether job thing that goes on. It's
Mhm.
the other thing that I learned is that the more natural and authentic you are, being yourself is more important than anything else. So that's how you kind of put that vibe out to the universe, and you will attract the right people. People will come back, or they'll renew, or they'll refer somebody because they're in your tribe, or they'll recommend you. For me, like a Google review is worth its weight in gold, because when people Google me, the Google reviews come up. So I have all 5-star Google reviews. So that's the kind of thing. If you have a business, you want to have a business page. And you want to ask people you've worked with to give you a Google review. Sometimes I offer people something in return, like for a 5-star Google review, you get 2 free sessions with me. And I've had people take me up on that. And I had a great guy. I worked with him for 6 months, and he only showed up for 1 of his 2 sessions. So, you know, and then I had a great guy I coached for 3 months, and then he just totally fell off the map. Totally. Like, I asked him for testimonials. I asked him for follow-up because he still had 1 session left. He said, you know, you never got your free session, so why don't we kind of follow up with that? Oh no, I'm going to be out of town. And he just dropped off the face of the earth. So you just don't know. But he was one of those people that was the right fit for me. He was just really, really busy and had a ton of responsibility. So, and he was kind of closed. He wasn't, although I worked with him great, I never got kind of like beyond that, tell me what to do and I'll do it kind of relationship with him. So for me, it's important to establish a close, you know, a part of coaching is establishing intimacy and trust. And if you can't get there, it's not gonna go. People aren't gonna get where they want to get. So that's kind of the way that I handle that. What is the underground unknown job market? It's what you put out there and how hard you're working to find it.
Okay.
So it'll come your way, and I'm not saying this in a Pollyannish type of way. It'll come your way. It's just a matter of, it's not stumbling upon it. It's doing the right things that are going to bring you the right people to your doorstep. You know what I'm saying? And this goes for whatever you're doing. And Valeria, you and I have had many of those conversations. Like, we want the right people in front of us. Now, are you still job hunting, Judy, or are you talking about establishing more clients for your business?
I'm still working on the 2 businesses, but I'm also open, and I've had more recruiters calling me with opportunities, and just a lot of things are being postponed. I'm finding out.
Right.
They just don't know how they want you to work or if they want to fill the position anymore.
Right.
I've been getting a lot of feedback like that.
Right. Well, sometimes that's their easy way of letting people down too. So what I would do in that case is go to the LinkedIn site for that company and look to see if the job is still posted. And then I would just search out, the person who interviewed you, type in that person's name and call them up.
This was a confidential search.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, you can, there's a lot of those on LinkedIn. So you can type in confidential and see what comes up under jobs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they will bring up confidential search. So, and I think one of the reasons they do that is because they have somebody already that either they want to get rid of, or probably it's that. I've seen that on the HR Facebook groups where we want to get rid of this guy. We want to hire somebody over him, but we don't want him to quit right yet. And like all the other HR people are saying, like, why are you doing this? Just tell the guy, you're not going to get that position. We're bringing in somebody else. Just be honest. But the company doesn't want to do it. So that's why I like those HR groups, because you find out all this kind of nasty stuff that's going on behind closed doors that you as the employee only think is going on. but you see it in black and white on these boards, and the way they mentally think about their mindset about employees and their mindset about pay raises and salaries and picking a fight over something stupid, you know, like it depends on where you work, for instance, but somebody said that they saw that on Facebook an employee had trashed the company. Well, any place I ever worked, that was a firing offense right there. You can't do that. But the predominant thinking on the group, the group itself, was that, well, you can't, that's personal, you can't really do that. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't think so. I mean, employees represent the company. So you can't have employees trashing your company while they're still working there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big thing there about Facebook. And like I said, you have to be very, very careful. You have a business page, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Valerie, do you have a business page?
I do.
Okay, good. So make sure, well, you and I both, we all talked about what to do on your business pages and all that. So any more questions? Because we really went way over, but that's okay. I don't mind.
Quickly, what are the next 2 dates? You said there are 3 dates for this?
Yeah, the next one is the 26th
Okay.
of August. And after that is the 2nd of September. And that's a Wednesday. Now, I have no idea when Labor Day is. It's probably like the next week. Does anybody know when Labor Day is?
I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
The 7th or the 6th? The 7th. The 7th is Labor Day. So on
Yes.
the 2nd, we're good on the 2nd.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, ladies, this was
All right.
great. Thank you so much. And kudos for showing up today. And if you know anybody, like I said, if you know anybody who wants to join you, let me know. Send them to the
Okay.
website. And everybody gets a free, what do you call it? Emotional intelligence assessment. Only takes you 15 minutes. Takes me like an hour and a half to review it, but it'll take you 15 minutes to take it.
Okay.
So bring a friend and you'll get the free emotional intelligence test, okay?
Okay.
All right, great seeing you both.
All right.
Talk to you again soon, ladies.
Okay,
Take
Mary.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.